ch. 16 City Fun Point. 2. Sarada POV. Mine headeth is killing me. What happened last night? Why is it so hot? Hands squeezed me tighter. Warm. Looking to my left I found a sleeping Astral, and to my right an equally snoozing Dagna hugging me close. I drank too much, at least I had my clothes on. As my senses returned to me, I felt a long limb circle my waist. Ayla, are you there? By the stone, talking hurt so bad. UG, make her forgive me. I hear her groan not too far away. I dare not move my body lest it revolts and tries to destroy itself. Heal the weak, so they can grow strong. A bright flash appeared that threatened to blow my mind. Stone, why? Oh, man, last night got a little wild. Ayla, save me. My groans were weak and filled with desperation. I'm coming. She touched my forehead, sending waves of calming relief that removed the pain. Now, with my mind cured of its aching, last night's memories began flashing before me. Oh, Stone, mug after mug, singing, looking over to Astral and then to Dagna, making out. How does Okran drink this much and still fight? I began untangling myself from Astral's tail only for her to tighten and bring me into her chest. Stay warm. He. Dagny, no touch. Okay, a little touch. Oh my. Lady Astral, please release me, I whispered. She only tightened her grip. Head hurt. I guess dragons are not all powerful. Push the pain away. I looked over to Ayla, who still looked half asleep, healing everyone within her reach. Before I could get her attention, Dagna came up behind me and sandwiched me. Warm. Someone save me. My oh my, what do we have here? Turning to the voice, I found a smirking Nick. Stone, his face looked so punchable. The holy maiden covered with virgins. Seems right. I'm going to launch him to the moon. Shut up and help me. I didn't hear a please. I'm going to rip that smirk off his face. Please, shut up and help me. That's better. He proceeded to produce a steak, dangling it over Astral, getting her to let go and swipe at it, trying to eat it without waking up. I used that moment to untangle my body from her tail and Dagna's searching hands. I watched Astral rip apart the steak Nick gave her. I shoved my tongue down that mouth. She flopped back to the floor and curled up with Dagna, as Nicholas threw a blanket over them. Where am I? I looked around the beautifully crafted house. The walls were white, but would have artwork painted directly onto the walls. The floor had blue carpeting, and I'm thankful for the thick drapes that block a good amount of the sunlight. All in all, it looked beautiful. Another flash from Ayla illuminated the rest of my fellow party-goers. Neria, Naisha, and Jack were wrapped up in Sky's embrace. I could have sworn that Julie was with us last night, but I can't see her. Ava's and Lina's new place. Nice shirt. I looked down, finding myself wearing a shirt with the words, "Take a ride on the holy side," with cartoon pictures of myself and Ayla winking. Sir Nicholas, how much are you paying me for using my likeness? My glare must have been fierce, cause he was looking anywhere but at me. Does love count? My glare intensified. What do you want? I wish for 90%. Nope, 6%. You've lost your mind. 75%. Oh, you're so cute. 8%. 50. 11. 40. 15. 30. Final offer. Very well. I also wish for more training. He raised an eyebrow at me. The final battle is coming. The stone sends me warnings, premonitions. The dark spawn are making moves. How long? I'm unsure. The stone is a bit unclear on the timing. Something is interfering. The archdemon. It's possible. The archdemons were once gods. They might still have some kind of holy power to conceal their presence. Nicholas nodded at my wisdom. He froze for a moment, staring out into nothingness, but moving his eyes as if he was reading something. Not the first time I'd seen this. Very well. I will up our training. With the alienage coming to completion, I will have more time to help train you. I wanna train too. Ayla spoke up. I'll be damned if I stay in the back. The Maker didn't make me his cleric to sit in the back while you fight evil incarnate. Will that be okay with you, Sarada? Nick asked. Holy maidens. I asked her. Holy maidens. She nodded back. Very well, Master Nicholas, when will we begin our training? Valandrian needs to get consensus on what workshops and buildings are needed for the elves to work within the alienage. I expect this to take some time, thanks bureaucracy. We can start now. We gave him a nod. Good, now let's. He was interrupted by Lina's door slowly opening, revealing Lina wearing only a shirt large enough to reach her thighs. It had the words, "Work hard, play naughtier," with a picture of a smirking Nicholas. That pebble needs a new hobby. Lina froze upon viewing us. Your sister let me in. Nick's smirk was filled with all smugness. Lina, come back to bed. Was that Lady Julia? Lina looked ready to explode like an overinflated lava bubble. Nick started giggling. Shut up, Lina hissed. I slept with your girlfriend. Oh, Lady Lina. Did she do that thing with her tail? Nicholas is shameless. He was bouncing his eyebrows so much that I was surprised they didn't fall off his face. What thing? Lina whispered, leaning forward. Clearly, she hasn't. Trust me, you'd know. Nick looked at Ayla, who just nodded. Holy maiden, my buns. Don't worry, she probably didn't want to overwhelm you. You look like you've been in a bit of a dry spell. I'm thinking too, maybe 3 more nights. Ayla, she did it to me after my 3rd night. At least Ayla looked embarrassed about this conversation. Did she do the tongue thing? Nicholas, please. Nick, you know I don't like talking about what I do in the bedroom. Thank you, Ayla, but yeah, by the gods, it's her go-to move. Are you finished? I interrupted, no longer wanting to hear the perversion of a holy maiden. Ya do know you're next on the chopping block after Neria, right? Nicholas couldn't be serious. I mean, I found you in bed with my sister and cute apprentice. You, Dagna moaned. Heal yourself, sweetie. That is what vast cosmic energy is for. Nick joked to Dagna. You. She flipped him off, trying to heal herself. Love you too, Lina. We'll share details later. Dagna, your training started an hour ago. Ayla healed those we pass by on the street. Serida, we are making the street. Astral. He looks over to a sleeping Astral. Get some sleep. He proceeded to wrap her up in the blanket like a baby. All right, people, let's move out. He strolled out the door. Is he always like that? Lina asked. Pervy. Yeah, Dagna answered. // 1, 2, 1, 2. Come on, ladies. Nicholas called out, running ahead of us. He had us running through the city, healing people and creating the streets. 30-second break. Thank the stone. I'm not used to long runs like this. We dwarves have more muscle than the average human and heavier bones. We're built for fast dynamic action, not endurance. Drink up, ladies. We have one last mile before we get to practice our skills. Nick passed his water skin to an equally tired Dagna. She ended up just dumping more water on her head than her mouth. It made her white shirt cling to her body. I would complain that Nick just wanted to see us in translucent clothes, but he was wearing the same tight shorts and wet white shirt that hugged his body so very tightly. Serida. Ha, wah. I felt a cool water skin against my face. Following the hand, I found a smirking Ayla. Oh, thanks. I was caught staring, so embarrassing. Them are some nice buns, Ayla whispered. Ayla, a holy maiden should not stare. She gave me an incredulous look. Serida, how many holy maidens do you know? 1. I pointed at her. Exactly, and if I like to look, and you like to look. I sputtered at the accusation. Then every holy maiden likes to look. She does have a point. I looked back to Nick lifting his shirt to wipe away some sweat, revealing his well-toned abdominal muscles. I dumped some water on my head, trying to cool me off. That miscreant, showing off his body like that, have some shame. Nice, Ayla, please try and be professional. She rolled her eyes at me. Serida, we're going to fight an army made of evil and rot. We could die. I'm not going to waste whatever time I have left on professionalism. I'm young and at the beginning of my new adventure-filled life. If I want to grab some hard man buns, I will. Please don't say that out loud with a brave face. Atta girl. Julie appeared from behind us. Remember, Nikki never makes the first move. Terribly shy, Ya got to get in there and just get a handful of Nick's butt. Right, Julie, Lina, Theron, Shani, Sky, and Ava joined us. Well, it was more of a trade. Healing for running, Astral just flew back to Mother Base not wanting to run through the city. Naisha and Neria stayed behind getting more sleep. Lina looked ready to die at any minute. I don't think she's ever jogged this much in her life, but Julie seduced her into it. Theron looked perfectly fine. It seemed he was used to running long distances. Shani, the twins' cousin, came along. I was a bit confused at first until I realized that she wasn't jogging, but chasing, always right behind Theron, like a hungry dog chasing a meal just out of reach. Sky only joined because Ava was here. Her seducing of Ava was well underway. Wearing black tights as pants and a sports bra, she was the cause of many accidents today, from people waking into walls, posts, women slapping their significant others, and none more than poor Ava. Others only get a glimpse of the 8-foot well-fit Wonder Woman. Ava got the full show. The poor girl looked like she had been through full-on combat. Her shorts, shirt, face, and body were dirtied by losing focus, tripping, or running into a post that would magically appear. I may have run into a post or two, sue me. Sky's butt was at eye level. I couldn't look anywhere else, and that's the truth I'm sticking to. It didn't help that every time we stopped, she would drench herself in water and stretch in the most promiscuous poses. All right, ladies, final stretch. Lunch awaits. Nicholas called out and the march to Mother Base continued. Getting to Mother Base took another 25 minutes at the calming speed we slowed down to so Lina didn't die, but stone was it worth it. Nick made us a feast made for paragons. Leliana and Astral joined us. Lady Leliana looked a bit under lyrium, but Ayla didn't hesitate and jumped into action healing our poor rogue. Leliana took the moment to attack Nicholas for not healing her earlier. Nicholas dodged her attacks with ease. How does one man have so much stamina? Nikki, we need more meat, Sky barked out, now wearing a new dress, a black one-piece leather outfit that zipped down her chest leaving a good amount of cleavage. Poor Ava couldn't even put food in her mouth correctly. More meat, Astral agreed. Miss Shani, please pace yourself. Theron warned Shani, who was shoving food down her throat. Should you be saying that, Warden? Theron was eating almost twice her speed, with zero of her manners. Nick, can I get more of your spicy dipping sauce? Ayla called out, ripping the meat off some ribs. And some soda, Julie added. Nicholas managed to apprehend Leliana and walk around delivering food. I got your seared nug. He passed my favorite meal. Stone, it smelled great. He must have seen me drooling at the roasted nug at the market, but where did he get the mushrooms? Lunchtime. Move over ya nugs. Okran yelled as he and Zevran came up Mother Base's lift. Good to see that you guys didn't end up in a ditch this morning. Zevran, what kind of greeting is that? Oh, let it go. Ya baby face wine drinker. Okran whined. So, I had a bit too much to drink last night. I'm in tip-top shape now. You left me with the bill. I'll pay you back. Ya know I'm good for it. He leaned next to Nick. Can you spot me 20 gold? 20 gold. What, did you buy a bar? Nicholas was right. From what I remember most bars had half off everything. No, he destroyed one. Zevran answered sitting down next to Shani. We have any cacio e pepe? I got some carbonara. Nicholas counted. I'll take it. Zevran was quick to answer, taking his plate of food from Nicholas. We'll see if there are any jobs that need doing later. Nicholas answered Okran, who clicked his teeth. Here I got you some roasted nug. Shame ya ain't a lady Nick. I would ask ya to marry me. Thank the gods. Nicholas shivered. Serada, how's the nug? It's my first time making it. Shoving a mouthful of nug goodness in my mouth, my eyes shut closed, just enjoying the taste. That's some good nug. I paused on my second bite as everything went quiet. Opening my eyes, I found everyone looking at me with grins. Nicholas had the biggest, smuggest smirk I have ever seen. What? I don't think I've ever heard a woman make those noises. Okran stated. I bet you haven't. Zevran teased. Shut up. Alright ya Gawkers, eat up. We got training in 40. Nick broke everyone from staring. What was their deal? Nick POV. With lunch out of the way, I decided that the yard would be a better place to train. I had Ayla and Dagna sparring with wooden weapons. Sten and I made them sitting on the porch. We didn't talk much at the time, but it was a comfortable silence. Skye was helping Ava stretch, which was nice, but she has been helping her stretch for the last 15 minutes, not that Ava was complaining. Lina and Julie were down in the armory, probably doing more than making limbs. Shani was sitting on the porch with Zevran and Okran, watching Jack and Theron sparring with fierce speed and might. Unlike Ayla and Dagna, they were going all out, just short of going for the kill. I was training with Serida in some earth bending. Sand is one of the more difficult forms of earth to bend. I had buckets of sand I picked up from the docks. You're used to bending large solid pieces of earth. Here, give it a try. Serida began trying to control the sand, only for it to flop around. It looked like she was trying to scoop up water with a fork. I can't get a grip, Serida said with a frustrated look. Sand is made of millions of smaller grains. I have been teaching you how to pull, remove, shove, and launch normal pieces of earth, but it is mostly a single piece of compressed earth. Sand is too numerous and small to use the conventional method. Regular earth bending is all about power, and sand doesn't play by those rules. I'll be teaching you some Bhagwas hang. It is the martial art skill I use for my air bending. Watch, Zevran, if ya won't mind. He gave me a nod and shook himself, getting his body warmed up. You are entering a spar, fisticuffs. HP locked at 250. HP Regan locked. MP locked at 100. MP Regan locked. CP locked at 150. CP Regan locked. Street lowered to advanced human standards. You will only gain 50% from spar. HP lock was annoying, but if I sparred at my full strength, the express will be at 3% tops. By allowing the system to measure my cap lock, I gain more express, but since Zevran isn't in my party, he gets to keep his full HP. Bhagwas hang was very different from Hungar. Hungar is about keeping your ground. Bhagwas hang focuses on palm techniques and firm, usually circular, rapid stepping. The practitioner is always moving and changing, spinning, turning, and rapidly moving in curved and linear patterns. Zevran earned his assassin skills. Even with all my skills, I could do was block and move, taking pot shots and dodging. He would put me in a hold, forcing me to flip and bend to escape. This continued as Okran joined, swinging his meaty fist at my face, dodging it by the skin of my teeth. I elbowed him away. Zevran took that moment to unleash a combo into my chest, knocking the air out of me and finishing with a blow to my jaw. Interruption. Okran Kondrat joined the spar. HP lock has increased to 500. You have taken 40 points of bludgeoning damage. The air has been knocked out of you. You are stunned for 5 seconds. Street and V stat level reduces stun by 50%. You are stunned for 2.5 seconds. Feck. As I dropped to the floor, my stun ended just in time for me to roll away from Zevran's follow-up kick and flipping back to my feet, keeping both my opponents within sight. I earth bent some sand into their face. Ah, feck, ya nug humping. I cut Okran off with a knee to the face. Gah. I tried to sweep Zevran's feet, but he knew how to fight blind, jumping away from my attack. Ho-oh, nice. If I wasn't trained to fight blind, you would have gotten me. Man didn't even rub his eyes, not wanting to lose one hand. He just kept his eyes shut, repeatedly blinking, forcing tears to clean out his eyes. Just ya wait, ya nug liquor, Okran cursed while rolling away, cleaning his eyes. Not wanting that to happen, I bent more sand, burying Okran up to his neck before I hardened it, freezing him in place. Oh, come on, don't let Okran's size fool you. He was part of the warrior caste. As much as I found the caste system to be stupid, the dwarves make some of the best fighters, and Okran is up there in might and skill. My danger sense alerted me to Zevran coming up behind me. I brought my hands up to defend myself from his fists and knees. You have taken 40 points of bludgeoning damage. You have blocked with your arms. Damage reduced by 75%. You have taken 10 points of damage. Your arms are being tenderized. Our fight continued for another 5 minutes. At this point, it was my health and durability versus his stamina and speed. It was a done game. You've gotten better, he huffed and puffed. Well, I have been treated as a punching bag for nearly 4 months, by Kunari and the wardens. I better have learned something. I joked. You should join. No thanks, I like my face. He rushed me. Spinning around him, I unleashed a double palm strike using my power strike skill right to the liver, dropping him. Spar over. Victory. MP, CP, and HP are unlocked. I viewed my skills gain some express. My air bending was at the tip of going into journeyman. It better be. I spent a month training it with Sten, as he gave me a beating. That man has no chill. Ow, I got Yar. I healed him, getting him back up to his feet and freeing Okran. There's sand everywhere. I'll be farting out sandcastles. He groaned, dusting himself off. Thanks for the help. Zevran waved me off, massaging his shoulders, causing a pop. What's a little spar between friends? I patted him as he went back to sitting on the porch. I turned my attention back to Sarada. So you're ready? I asked, healing myself. Zevran's no joke. Yes. She jumped to her feet, ready for action. Dash. Neria POV. Ugh, today was a long day. I slumped onto the couch in the living room. Hey champ, what's going down? Nick plopped down next to me. Twisting till I got a good look at him, I saw he had some food. Sheep and pea stew. Ah, my favorite. Well, it's every Ferelden's favorite. I flopped into a sitting position. Nat tells me you guys had a wild time. That's putting it mildly. Have you ever wanted to punt a child? Damn, this was some fine stew. If I say yes, will ya think less of me? Not after today. Naisha suggested we do some market jobs, earn a little money. Didn't want to mooch off you too much. He gave a soft chuckle that vibrated my core, bringing a smile to my face. This man has too much power. One of the city guards needed help taking on some of the gangs that roamed Anerum, with How dead, and his noble friends in hiding. Every small-time gang is taking their shot at the big leagues. It was supposed to be simple: find gang, remove gang, get paid. I sometimes forget how straightforward you guys are with killing. It is a bit too common for my liking, but what are you going to do? People must find a way to survive. You've seen the alienage. He hummed. Anyway, as Nat, Alyssa, Sky, and I walked down some of the dark alleys trying to find some of the gangs causing trouble, we ran into that elf girl, Sarah. That brat. He sighed, probably looking for the Raven. Yep, I popped the P. And as you know, every good-for-nothing also thought that if they took down the Raven, they would become famous. That little shit started crying out about how we were the Raven's sidekicks, and that we should be grateful for the experience of working with her hero. That must have gotten some attention. Every thug and their mother came out in fecking waves. The whole time that brat kept talking about how the Raven would have fought better. I wanted to chuck that little shit at the moon. He passed me some pie. And I'm usually good with kids. I help newcomers to the tower. That kid is crazy. Wanna take a break tomorrow? Please. I heard there's a store that sells magic wonders somewhere in the market. Julie, Jack, and Ayla have been asking for me to go. Wanna come? Well, did I want to go? There might be some crazy unknown magic books. He bounced his eyebrows at me. What a goof. Fine, but you're paying. Deal. So, what do ya wanna watch? He flipped through the thousands of movies and shows he had on the TV. Something that takes the stress from my shoulders. Comedy it is. He draped on of his arm around my shoulder, slowly healing my body. Maker, damn his amazing hands. Watch those hands, Walters. I used all my will not to moan. Don't worry, I know exactly where they are. I didn't need to see his dumb face to know he was smirking. This perv. // You know, Danerum was looking pretty good. Nick and Sereda did good work. The road was just packed earth less than a week ago, and now it was cobbled for carts with a sidewalk for people to walk. Merchants had plenty of room to set up their outdoor shops. Nick even added some magic street lamps. Please step right up, one of the merchants called out. Jewelry of the finest make. Straight from Orzammar. Looking over some of his wares, I could tell he was full of it. I've been to Orzammar. These look like someone melted metal into a sad mold and called it jewelry. Sky would just scoff at it. Hey, he hissed at me, get out of here, you damn knife ear. Can't you see I'm trying to work? Right, racism. That was one of the things I miss about the tower. There weren't races, only mage and Templar. And broom closets. Hey sweetheart, see something you like? Julie slid in behind me and resting her hands on my hips, placing her head on my neck. Julie was a stone-cold freak. If she liked you, she would try and nab you. It didn't help that she had some kind of magic ability that sends small tingles wherever she touched. Or at least I think she does. The merchant looks shocked at Julie's appearance, which was kinda understandable. The first time I saw her outside her armor gave me quite the shock. Hands, I warned. She gave me a squeeze.
You are very firm. That arcane warrior training has made you very tone.
I gulped. I felt some magic brush against.
Remove them.
I reiterated, grabbing her hands before they could wander from my body. I wasn't specific last time, and she danced her fingers up my spine and began massaging my back. If my will was any weaker, I would have ended up in her bed. The problem was, she was getting better, and my will's getting weaker. Oh, sorry. She let go of my hips but kept her finger intertwined with mine. I could work with this. A demon, the merchant whispered in fear. Man, you southerners sure do love your spirits. I'm a Runbez, from the north. Like them Kunari, farther north, she corrected. Ya got money, leave it to a merchant to overcome their fear for money. Yeah, but I don't see anything I like. Then scram, can't you see I'm trying to run a business? He shooed us away, this jackass. Yo, what ya guys, what ya looking at? Nick called out, walking over to us. And this one has glowing eyes. Make her give me strength. Nick gave the jewelry a quick look and found it wanting. Look, are you going to buy something? No thanks. He gave the merchant an unimpressed look. You might want to change your sale. Orzammar dwarves are arriving soon. We followed him away from the sweating merchant. That was some piss-poor quality. Right, make her be kind. It looked like a toddler's first ring creation. Dagna would have ripped that guy to pieces. Dagna may be a mage at heart and soul, but she still takes pride in her metalwork. I once saw her chew out Sky for her poor craftsmanship. She looked like one of the senior enchanters standing over an unruly apprentice who wasn't taking things seriously. For 2 straight days, Dagna stood over Sky as she made jewelry. Even now she's working with Lina making metal limbs. Oh, looking for a ring are we? Julie sang, wrapping her tail around my waist. She pulled out a ring from her bag of holding. It was made of steel, I think. It had runes carved on it. Whoa, I gave it a closer look. I've seen runes the tranquil, made in the tower, and none of them were this detailed. You made this? It's special. She nodded. Special. Should I find that worrying? She leaned in close. It prevents pregnancies, she whispered into my ear, making me freeze in place, as she giggled, letting go of me, and hops on Nick's back. He didn't miss a step. I just looked at the ring in my hands. What does this mean? Is she saying what I think she's saying? Hey, yeah, okay. I looked up at Nick's confused face and Julie's sultry smirk. Gulp. There you are. Jackie and I have been waiting for you guys. Ayla's voice snapped me out of my fantasies. I was going to say something, but I noticed a ring on her little finger on her left hand. The same ring in my hand. We're coming, Julie called back, waving from Nick's back. Nick walked towards the other ladies. Julie turned just enough for me to see her smirking lips. Gulp. I put the ring in my bag. Entering the store, the smell of musty old books hit my nostrils and brought me back to the tower's library. Welcome. I froze at the tone of the voice. It was dull, inhuman, tranquil. Simon. He was older than me. I remember him. He helped me when I first got to the tower. He disagreed heavily with some of the Templars. They said he was weak, that he couldn't do the harrowing. I felt a soft hand wrap around mine. Turning, I find Ayla's worried eyes looking right at me. Large warm arms wrap around me, bringing me and Ayla into a hug. Are you okay? Why, yeah, why wouldn't I be? You're crying, Jack answered, joining our hug. You want us to beat him up? Julie joined. No, Maker, this is so embarrassing. I thought I finally got over this. You can let me go now. I'm okay. They didn't let go, guys, they just hugged me tighter. I tried wiggling free. Sigh. We stayed that way for at least 10 more minutes. Let me tell you, being hugged by 4 people at once for 10 minutes tends to get pretty warm. When they finally let me go, I was a sweaty crying mess, my hair all over the place. You look good. Yeah, you would think so, Julie. She and Jack were still by my sides holding my hands. Nick nodded to Ayla and approached Simon. Behold, a blinding light lit up the room, but I couldn't look away. For a moment I thought I saw a glowing figure next to Ayla touching Simon's forehead. The light faded and the gasping breaths of Simon flooded the room. Nick moved quickly and healed his mind. I was only tranquil for about a month. Simon has been like this for much longer. Wah, Simon muttered drowsily, being held up by Nick. Breathe, he ordered. You've been through an ordeal. Your mana is slowly regenerating. Here, he passed him a small stone with a rune on it. Simon seemed to get a jolt of strength as he got up. Easy, easy. Wah, how long? He looked around the room trying to find his footing. Where the blazes am I? Denerim, I answered. You've been gone for a long time. He just looked at me for a long while. Neria, I nodded. It seems like his memories are taking longer to come back. He blinked rapidly. Relax, Nick ordered. I could feel his magic brush over me. I've always been able to feel magic. Every mage can. But lately I've been able to tell who cast it and understand how. It's almost like I could see a ghostly image of the caster. Nick told me that bringing someone out of tranquility may affect our soul and that some people may develop new magic. Looking at Nick's spell, I was able to understand its purpose, to calm anyone within hearing range, focusing on the person in front of him, and the amount of mana, minimal. I have no idea how he did it, I just know he did. Simon regained his focus. Rolus. What happened to Rolus? Rolus. I searched my memory for the name. She's a Templar. Oh, I don't really know much about the Templars in the tower. It makes them jumpy. The younger recruits think if we know their names, we could curse them. I don't know. He looked crushed at my answer. She was with child. Oh, we can help. Julie jumped in. Nick and Jack nodded. If your child is out there, we can find them. But first, Nick ran around copying books and taking knickknacks from the shelves. Some glass slippers, dwarven golem dolls, carvings, and a lady tool made of jade. At this point, it looked like he was robbing the place. Simon didn't give 2 nug farts. // Watching the world rotate in the control room always relaxed me. Julie, after giving a goodbye hug I wouldn't let children see, raced downstairs to join Dagna and Lina. Ayla and Jack were putting away all the books Nick borrowed in the library. Tea. I looked over to Nick holding out some tea. Thanks. Sweet tea, of course. We ended up setting up Simon in the Earl's estate. After finding out his child was in Redcliffe, we believed it would be best if he stayed with Eamon and fill him in on what it would be like to have his son in the Ferelden Mage Tower. In return, Eamon would try and get Tegan to find his lover and child. How ya feeling? I shrugged. Okay, I guess. He gently nudged me. Wanna be a creepo? He smirked. Creepo. The void was that. He spun the globe before zooming in on a random spot. It was a city on another continent somewhere. Color slowly faded in. There had to be thousands of people. We couldn't get a street view, but we could see the heads of people. Hey hey, look, Nick pointed to someone running over the rooftops. It wasn't much, but suddenly 2 people appeared from doors on the roof and a fireball was launched from one of the newcomers, causing the first person to run off, causing a chase. Even though we could see them from above, we could feel the desperation of our runner as they jumped from house to house. It ended, at least for us, as our runner disappeared into a building. That was cool. Nick, what now? People are going to eventually find out about me and Simon. Sure, we were able to make it seem like I died, but Simon is another story. People will look for him, and when they find out he's no longer tranquil, the circles will lose their collective minds, and I doubt Ayla's going to stop healing people. Have you heard the rumors? Which one? The one where they're calling her a daughter of Andrishta, or the one where she's the Maker's second wife? The Chantry's not going to take those rumors laying down. I'm surprised they haven't sent Templars to try and collect her. She healed a blind Templar a few days ago. Man's been spreading the word like crazy. I have no doubt the Templars in Denerim are a bit conflicted. Add the fact that she's been healing everyone from orphans to nobles, and friends with the king. The people of Denerim wouldn't take it lightly. At the moment she's too hot to touch, and when they do try, I'll be there. I've seen her break a revenant in half. I think she can take care of herself. That got a chuckle out of him. True, but I'm a warrior. I was born that way, raised that way, and will probably die that way. I reached out and played with his face. He had a strong jaw. How do you not have wrinkles? Magic, probably. He smirked. Can you teach me such magic? I joked. Family secret, ya want it. Ya got to be family. Julie would love that. She wouldn't be disappointed. I let my left hand fall to his chest. When did he get so close? His breath smelt of fresh mint. And you, Walters, would you be happy with an elf? He placed his hands around my waist, bringing me flush against him. He was warm, but I felt like I was lit on fire. Were I so lucky? He gently placed his forehead against mine. Gross. Everything froze. My red-hot core plummeted below freezing in less than a second. Turning my head, I found that little shit brat, a smirking Zevran, blushing Leliana, smug Naisha, nodding Sky, and an embarrassed Ava. Well, I think she was embarrassed. She had a light blush. Why is she here? I hissed to Nick. The others I could understand. They live here, but Sarah didn't. I think Ava's babysitting, and she has the power to invite one person, due to her being a guest. Hey, ya done sucking face. I wanna watch some cartoons. Cartoons, Nick corrected. I know what I said. She clapped. Chop chop. She jumped on the couch like she owned the place. Someone needs to put that brat in her place. And that person was Ava, as she snatched Sarah by the ear. A wow wow wow. Ava. She dropped her. The shit. She rubbed her ear, tears threatening to spill out. You are grounded. You nearly gave Lady Emerald a heart attack with your antics yesterday. Her voice sent shivers up my spine. You will be learning to write. TSH. What do I care? She's not my real mum. She muttered. But you are her daughter, and that woman doesn't deserve a daughter who goes off looking for some caped fool, constantly putting yourself in danger. March. She pointed to the stairs. Sarah groaned, walking down the stairs, Ava close behind her. Firm, no nonsense, unfeeling. She makes a good role model, reminds me of some of the madams from the brothels. Zevran nodded, agree to disagree, but at least that brat is getting some kinda punishment. Sigh, there goes the moment. I removed myself from Nick's warm arms. I'm going to punch some stuff. I called out, walking to the gym. I heard Nick call out that lunch would be ready by 1:30, giving me plenty of time to release some stress. The gym was rather large. There was a fighting ring in the center of the room, weightlifting equipment lining the far wall, a large mirror wall that Nick said was essential, benches used for breaks here and there, and punching bags lined one of the walls. Wailing on the punching bag felt great. I just let out all my rage, anger, fear, sadness, and lust through my fists. Rah! I hit the bag with a bit of my magic infused into my body, punching a hole through the bag and sending it flying, and the moment it hit the ground 2 golems appeared carting the bag away and putting up a new one. Having fun? Naish's voice came from one of the benches Nick had by the walls. Wiping my face with my towel. Yeah, I guess. I shrugged, not really listening, just working on my breathing. She patted the seat next to her. I was going to reject it, but the look she gave me made me reconsider. Plopping next to her, I looked forward at myself in the mirror. Maker, I was a sweaty mess. How are you feeling? Heard you saw another tranquil. I answered with another shrug. She patted my thigh. I don't know, it's weird, I wonder if I looked like that. All glassy-eyed, unfocused. Naisha leaned against me giving me a side hug. How many are out there? How many were in the tower? I was so scared and selfish. All I thought was, as long as I get out of here, it'll be okay. Not for a second did I think of any of the other tranquil. Tears were racing down my face, but I felt numb to them until Naisha's warm hand brushed them away. I had the same problem. She brushed her tattoo. You know what this is? It has something to do with your caste, right? I didn't really read up on dwarven culture, and the only other thing I remember about Orzammar was how close the Darkspawn were. She nodded. Yep, this thing was slapped on my face when I was 5. I still remember the needles stabbing into my face. This mark forever made me less. Nothing more than garbage to be tossed away, or a sex trophy at best. When I left Orzammar, I didn't care about anyone in Dust Town, not even my family. I just wanted to leave. It was my luck that I ran into Duncan, then that I fell onto this crazy floating rock, into the hands of people who don't care about. She rubs her tattoo. This, who loves me for my naggy, sarcastic, punchy self. She tightened her grip, bringing me close. You're part of this crazy crew, so you're part of our family. Brace yourself. I gave her a confused look. Natty, Enna. Sky came around the corner freezing as she looked at my face, and before I said anything she was on me, lifting me up to her face with her tail, as she patted me down. Sky, Neri's crying, she whispered, rubbing my face with her face. Not hurt, sad. She brought me into a hug. Jack taught me that hugs are one of the things that defeat sadness. For a dragon with the natural power of frost, she was pretty warm. I'm okay, I giggled. What a warrior. Smell good. Far. She began licking up my neck, sending bolts of lightning through me. When she looked back at me, her eyes were fully dilated, only hinting at her cyan pupils. Sky. My voice was barely above a whisper. Her tongue slipped into my mouth. I closed my eyes, letting the cool, refreshing feeling of her kiss gave me. Ah, I see why Ayla became addicted to this. Power like hers makes the troubles of my world seem minimal. All right, let her breathe. Nat pushed Sky away, allowing me to recollect myself. What a woman. Now, what had you running in here? Sky blinked a few times. Lunch. Of course. // Nick POV. All right, what are we doing here? Lily asked. Here was the Pearl, a fancy brothel at the docks. Poor Alistair looked ready to faint. Alyssa, on the other hand, was checking out the merchandise. The room was rather large. Tables were placed throughout the room. Waitresses and waiters were walking around serving drinks and applying their trade. Yes, they were all dressed rather skimpily. Not too far away were some loud douchebags in armor, and an angry guard glaring at them. Good question, Zeph, I asked, looking at the rather relaxed assassin. The Landsmeet is coming to a head tomorrow. Lina, Dagna, and Julie have finally begun fitting some limbs, and Eamon, Kaelin, and Honora were putting the final touches to their arguments. At first, Kaelin was worried about how his wife was going to feel about what we were planning to do to her father, but figuring it a tad better than what usually happens to people who try and take over a kingdom and start a civil war. I just wanted to help the girls make robot limbs. Does that lady dwarf look extra manly? Alistair asked, looking at a female dwarf. It's not nice to call a woman manly, Alistair. Aidan chastised. What, have ya never seen a strong dwarven lady before? Okran scoffed. She has a beard. Aye, More than you. Learn a thing or two. That must have hit hard, cause Alistair flinched as if struck, rubbing his face. I wonder if he found it difficult to grow a beard due to his elven blood. If we're done making fun of Alistair, I brought you here for a job, Zevran interrupted, gaining all our attention. But before he started, a rather drunk douchebag fell onto our table. Hey baby, wanna come with me? The clearly drunk man, who was missing some teeth, smirked at Alyssa, right in front of her man. Now I know it's hard to just know if someone was in a relationship at first glance, but the look Alistair was giving this guy screamed, "Feck off," in the unkindest way I have ever seen, and Aidan looked ready to remove his head. Again, this man was drunk, so the confused face he gave when Alistair grabbed his wandering hand, followed by his screams of pain as Alistair snapped it like dried kindling, came with very little shock to me. Alistair grabbed the man and tossed him at his friends. "Leave," was all he said. For a moment the douche brigade looked ready to throw down until they looked over to the rest of our party. I'm unsure what made them pause. Maybe it was the way Zevran was casually playing with a knife, Lily's eerie smile, Okran's look of, "I'm not getting paid to be gentle," my glowing eyes, the spark of magic that danced across Alyssa's fingers, or simply Alistair's and Aidan's rather large statures in full warden armor, but they just booked it out of there. The bar launched into cheers and the raising of cups. Alyssa praised a blushing Alistair as he sat back down. "Hey," the guard called out, tossing Alistair a bag of coins. "Thanks," he waved as he walked out. I guess he was called to handle the drunks, but we ended up doing his job. Alyssa checked the bag. "There's at least 2 gold in here. Can I get some of that?" Okran asked. "That man is going to be in Zevran's debt forever." Alyssa just put the money in her bag of holding with a smile. "TCH. Greedy. I respect that. So, Zeph," I tried getting the conversation back. "Right, one of my contacts in the Crows has sent me some rather interesting information. Master Ignacio is in town and he's looking for us." He points to Aidan and Alistair. "You two, to be more pronounced." "Us?" Alistair looked shocked. We've only talked through proxies, but it sounds like he's trying to smooth the waters after my lap in judgment. Your suicide by Kuzland?" Okran asked. "Quite right. Anyway, he wants there to be no hard feelings and wishes not to make you an enemy. The Kuzlands can hold a grudge." The Chantry would agree. He placed a poster on the table. "The bear howls at midnight. Howe's symbol is a bear." Aidan and Alyssa looked ready to crack some skulls. "I hope there's room for one more." We turned to the voice. "Fergus," the sibling called out. "Holy shit, it's Fergus Kuzland, everybody. What the hell's he doing here?" He looked like a hero of legend, strong luscious beard, the eyes of a man who's seen some shit, and a cloak that covered most of his body and steel plate armor, the family crest stitched to the back, proud as day. Alyssa crushed him into a bear hug, lifting him into the air, Aidan close behind.
"I hope you're wearing your best underwear, Yarnug."
Ogren chuckled at a startled Alistair. I guess he thought he had more time before this meeting.
"What are you doing here? Why haven't you called?"
Alyssa asked with the brightest smile since Aidan saved her at the tower.
"And Oren and Oriana. Safe. Not that How made it easy. It was quite the journey, but I think we have some vermin to kill. Ready, partner."
His little wooden golem popped out of his hood, giving a salute. Even his golem looked like it's gone through a fierce journey. He turned to me, handing me his broken phone.
"If it wasn't for this, I doubt I would have made it back."
It looked like someone tried stabbing through it.
"Can you fix it?"
Mirror phone MK1. Durability 0/30. Will need 1 steel ingot, 1 Polish rag, fix broken runes, journeyman. Do you wish to fix? With a simple command and the necessary items, the phone glowed, putting itself back together. I passed it back to him better than ever. He gained a soft smile, rubbing the screen before putting it away in his breast pocket. "So, where are we going?" "Not to worry, we're already here," Zevran called out. Ignacio tracked some of the last of Howe's soldiers that didn't run to the hills to one of the rooms in this brothel. New quest. The House of a Dying Beast. Howe's legion still roams the city causing problems. 040th soldiers. Rewards: 10 gold, 10,000 express, neutral with the anti-Van Crows. They didn't just run, I asked. Seriously, I guess Howe did have a cult. Zevran shrugged. It's possible they're going to try and assassinate the Wardens or just the Kuzlans. Aiden unsheathed the flaming poisoning raging sword of doom. Not today. Oh damn. The fight against the soldiers was less of a fight and more of a slaughter. In fact, anyone that wasn't a Kuzland barely did anything. 1 minute a crazed elf launched herself at our group, the next she was Ash. Before anyone else tried to do something, Alyssa paralyzed the rest with a bolt of lightning, and Fergus cut down the rest. You're marrying into this. I pointed this out to Alistair, who only had eyes on Alyssa. I won't lie, I'm a bit jealous, but none of them can get me any alcohol like my Felsi. Aren't you married to a dragon? He shot back, ignoring Okran. First, I doubt Sky knows the idea of marriage. Second, she is a dragon. I know she is a dragon and can plan for that. We look over to Alyssa as she burns a man alive. She is not. Good luck planning for that. And third of all, I'd be so lucky to marry a lady like Sky, strong, loving, likes threesomes, big appetite, loves to smile, firm when needed but forgiving. She's the whole package. What are you idiots doing? We looked over to an annoyed Alyssa. Dead bodies were all over the ground, Fergus and Aiden, double tapping anyone on the floor. Nothing, we called out. Why are you doing nothing? Her face darkened. I pointed to myself. Did you want our help? 'Cause it looked like you guys had it covered. I stated. Seriously, this wasn't even a fight. Alistair slid in, putting an arm around her waist. We didn't want to get in the way of your family bonding. She just gave him a hard glare, trying to see if he was lying, before relaxing and giving him a kiss. You're so thoughtful. Good to see those improv classes are being put to good use. Come, we have to talk to this Crowmaster. She led us out the door. // As we walked to the Nord Noble, the tavern, Zeph told us Ignacio would meet us after he got word of how soldiers were killed. In the meantime, Fergus regaled us with his mighty tale after we called him about 2 months ago. He talked about how he ran into a group of assassins that hunted him as he entered Antiva. He talked about fighting them throughout his boat adventure down the Minanta River from Starkraven, where the assassins paid a bunch of river pirates to try and raid the merchant ship he was using to get to Ansburg. He talked about how he had to swing over deadly rapids for ship-on-ship combat, only escaping by setting fire to the pirate ship and escaping at the last moment. Traveling the Weyers, believing that the assassins didn't work alone and would know what ship he was on, nearly dying from disease if not for some Dalish that took pity on him. They even taught him how to live off the land, splitting on good terms as he helped them beat back a Templar ambush trying to kidnap their mages. Arriving in Antiva City, he used his wife's family contacts to learn she and his son went into deep seclusion. He was right about the assassins having friends. As he searched for his family, assassins attacked him and nearly killed him, save only because my phone stopped the assassin's blade from piercing his chest. I also learned that a high-pressure water shot from a magic golem can end someone from half a foot away. The entry was clean, the exit wasn't. Even with the golem, he was heavily outnumbered, but it seemed like the anti-Van Crows didn't like how a group of assassins didn't pay dues for working in their country. Shit got messy. It became a three-way war with Howe's assassins, the anti-Van Crows, and Fergus, just trying to escape with his life. It all came to a head as the building they were in was lit on fire. He didn't know by who, but he was able to use the chaos to escape into the city and traveled south to the city of Rialto, where more of his wife's family made port. At this point, I came to the conclusion that either Howe had all the money in the world or Fergus was unnaturally unlucky, because as he arrived in Rialto a pirate raid hit the city led by the assassins. He escaped at the Minanta River. Fergus didn't know if they knew he was there or if the assassins needed funds, but it ended up with him fighting with the local militia and guard force to beat back the pirates. After the battle he learned that his wife was taking sanctuary in one of her family's lesser-known hidey holes in Sal. Riding there non-stop, he finally reunited with his wife and child, But of course, the Kuzland clan can't get a moment of peace because assassins ambushed him and his family as they were leaving for a more secure location. He didn't tell us where, but I couldn't blame him. He'd been attacked by what I could only assume to be all of the assassins in the world. He went on to talk about his crazy battle on the cliffs of Sal with the raging Rialto Bay screaming for his soul, and his son and wife held at knife point. Luckily his golem was able to save his family as he sent Howe's head assassin, Gainley, over the cliffs to the rocks and raging sea. With his wife and sons safe, he raced back to Ferelden, for when Ferelden calls, the Kuzlands answer. While he couldn't be sure we'd be here, he had no doubt we wouldn't be far. Dude. The hell? Now, any normal person would take what he said with a grain of salt. Seriously, river pirates, assassins, Dalish, burning Antiva, dramatic seaside battles, crazy, but with his level being 17 levels higher from what it used to be was a good indicator that he was probably telling the truth. Lily was swooning at his tail. Okran just took it in stride. Something about lyrium veins leading to a cluster. Alyssa and Aidan just had a prideful, smug look as if showing off something impressive. Zeph just looked impressed, nodding at the descriptions of Antiva and drinking wine. Alistair on the other hand looked clearly intimidated. How is he supposed to impress a hero? I hope that explains why the crows aren't too happy with Howe. A voice spoke out. Human Master Assassin. Ignacio of Antiva. LVL 41. Age, 54. HP 800 and 800ths. MP 5/5. Street. He has some serious old man strength. V. Let an old man enjoy his retirement. Dex. Floats like a butterfly, stings like a dagger to the kidneys. Int. A smile can get you closer to your target than a scowl. Wis. Why kill someone when someone else can do it for you? Char. Has killed more marks in the bedroom than in the streets. Luck. Crows don't retire, they're just left alone. Ailments. Balding. Incorrectly fixed pelvis. Chronic kidney pain. Weak liver. Ignacio, a retired master assassin for the Antivan Crows, he now works as a handler stationed in Ferelden. He has been tasked to remove the last of Howe's soldiers in Denerim. Currently working with a business partner by the name of Cesar to start up their own merchant empire. He respects you and the wardens for fighting the good fight. Ignacio, you look good, Zeph complimented. Zevran, no offense but I'm happy you failed your mark. That makes two of us. So how can we help? Zeph asked. Just like that, barely a hello and down to business. I supposed Assassin got no time for small talk. One of the nobles in the Landsmeet had their child kidnapped by Howe's captains before his death. Well done by the way. The captain, Chase, is now holding him ransom for a boat to the Free Marchers. Where? I asked. The hurting and endangering of children never sat well with me. Chase demanded a drop-off at the docks near Lot 72. And as a group, we took one last chug of the drink in front of us, water for me, and we marched out of the bar. There was a kid to save. Okay, there wasn't a kid to save. Turns out after wiping out the rest of Howe's lapdogs, we found out that the kid was already rescued by some Antivan Crows that the noble hired before us. I do apologize for the lie, but we needed to clean out the rest of the soldiers and I didn't believe we had enough backup. Ignacio explained. I guess it was understandable. Whatever was left of Howe's army that didn't book it, was held up at the dock, probably being hidden by one of Howe's noble pawns. I counted over 30 dead mooks and one Captain Chase, locked up in chains and awaiting trial. Aemon and Kaelan were probably going to use him in the Landsmeet somehow. But I hope Howe's remaining soldiers were a good consolation prize. The Kuzlands seemed pleased, and your pay of course. He tossed Zeph a bag of tingling coins. Quest completed. The House of a Dying Beast. Howe's legions still roam the city causing problems. 40th soldiers. Rewards. 10 gold, 10,000 express, neutral with the Antivan Crows. Well, that was easy. I guess having a maxed out team, with overpowered weapons tends to make things pretty easy. The anti-Van Crows consider any grievances to be water under the bridge. I'll have Cesar open up the secret catalog in the store, and a warning, Zevran, Taliesin is in Denerim, and has a contract on you. Zeph didn't say anything, but a small frown crossed his lips. Good evening. He walked out of the tavern. Okran handed Zeph a mug of something. From Zev's coughing and shaking, it must have been strong. It didn't stop him from drinking it though. Good right, some of them big fellas, with the horns, sold it to me. This stuff puts chest on your chest. He took a chug. Whoa, where did you get the money? I asked. I traded it for some of our whiskey. Did you tell Win? PSH. Why, I helped make it. Yeah, but she was planning to sell it for a good amount of gold. Ya know you're in her debt now, right? He just looked at me and took another chug. Feck. .. I was standing in front of my mirror trying to control my hair, making myself look nice for the landsmeet today. Now there's some fine-looking man. Jack called out from my bathroom door. She was only wearing some lingerie, having spent the night in my room. You're only saying that because I'm not wearing anything. I just came out of the shower, and only crazy people get dressed in the bathroom, especially in their own house. I can't deny that. She walked up to me helping me fix my hair. What are you wearing? Nothing, you. I smirked. She patted my chest. I'm thinking of a three-piece suit. I cast an illusion of the suit, black waistcoat, jacket, and pants, with a red dress shirt. She was focused on the tie though, her touch phasing through the illusion. That's my family crest. The J family crest was a left-hand wreath and flames making devil horns. Jedidia was a strange man, but to each their own. Her bright sulfur eye rose to meet mine. Gamer's mind has blocked Jack Hope's racial ability, lust. We're going to be late. I sang. Jack has always been the beacon of responsibility since we started this journey, always being one step ahead of me, keeping me from falling to pieces, helping Ayla and Dagna in magic, keeping Sky and Julie from seducing every beautiful lady we come across. She's my right-hand woman, best friend, lover, and most trusted confidant. I would do anything she asked, but that means I must be the same for her. I won't lie, I haven't been the best, but I think I've tried. It'll be quick. No, it wouldn't. She traced her hand up my chest, removing the illusion. Please, I am a weak man, was my only thought as I pressed her against the wall. Before I got to do anything, a bucket of ice-cold water drenched me. Everything tensed. Turning my head, I found Nat holding the bucket with an unimpressed look. I knew you wouldn't be able to keep it in your pants. I'm not wearing pants, I countered, trying to will the cold away. I know, nice butt by the way. Kaelin is in the kitchen, get dressed. Jack, stop kissing that man, ya know where he's been. Jack was indeed kissing down my neck. Unlike me, she didn't get the water treatment. Gods, was she warm. Balls deep inside you, I answered. Exactly. She separated us, pushing a rather handsy Jack out of the bathroom. Watch those hands, Hope. I have an extra bucket, I heard her say as she left the bathroom. My hair's a mess, I said, looking at my wall mirror. I walked into the living room, making sure my tie was visible to everyone. In all honesty, it was just my armor morphed into a suit. Doesn't someone clean up nicely? I turned to see Lily walk up the stairs in a red dress to take hearts and end them. How's your new armor treating you? She gave a small swirl, revealing a side cut that led all the way to her hip, cutting just short of seeing anything. Good, now I don't have to dream of the shoes I always wanted. Before my eyes, her once red slip-ons became 3-inch stilettos. She clicked, her heel popping out a blade. What kind of footwear doesn't have deadly weapons? I joked. Kaelin took that moment to walk out of the kitchen, eating a sandwich with Honora close behind in awe of Mother Base. In the game, Honora didn't really change clothes, easier to animate, but not in real life. You would think, being the queen and all, that she would wear an extravagant gown. But don't forget, she's the queen of Ferelden. Backwater, savage land, that takes no prisoners, and gives no mercy, and she represented She was wearing the pelt of a bear over a more ceremonial armor with the Terran crest on a small shield strapped to her shoulder. She looked every bit the warrior Queen Ferelden needed. Kaelan was wearing the armor I gave him, but instead of his red cloak, he was wearing a black cloak inlaid with gold and the Terran royal crest, Tu Mabari in front of a golden shield. Good to see you ready. He looked confident. With the amount of evidence and support, it was a done deal. Likewise, you look ready to sit on a throne. He smirked, puffing out his chest and taking a bite of his sandwich. Let's do this. Julie jumped into the room, wearing what I thought was a Buddhist robe combined with a kimono that went all the way to her shins, leaving her right arm exposed. Her tail came out of a hole wrapping around her waist. Her family crest is on proud display on her left breast. Hey, Nikki, how am I? She froze, spotting my tie, and a small smirk crossed my face. Her eyes slowly met mine. Walking up to me, she touched the tie, rubbing it to see if the crest would fade. After seeing that it wasn't, she looked back up to me, pulling the tie so our foreheads gently met. Hey, her voice was barely above a whisper. You can't tease a lady like this in front of company. I just kept smirking. Gamer's mind has blocked Julia Hope's racial ability, lust. You're playing a dangerous game, Walters. She hissed, playing with my tie. I am ready to show my beauty. Sky barked, walking into the room wearing enough gold and shiny metal to blind someone if they looked directly at her. From golden horn caps to a tail covered in golden rings, Fort Knox would ask questions. She even had a golden domino mask covered with gems. I don't even know where she got them, probably Orzammar. I'm pretty sure she could pay for a new wall with all that gold. Honora commented with a blank stare. Should we be worried about being mugged on our way there? I hope not. Have you ever seen a dragon defending her horde? It's not pretty, Kaelan answered. Alistair and Alyssa took that moment to enter the room, him in his fully rune warden armor, and Alyssa in an enchanter's robe, with a wolf's pelt around her shoulder, the Kuzland crest on her chest. Followed by Sereda and Ayla wearing their usual holy garments. Ladies, and yes, Alistair, you're one of the ladies. He just rolled his eyes at my joke. Should I blush and giggle? Best not. Your wife might take that as a threat, and I can't take on the Kuzland clan. Alyssa just put her hand around Alistair's arm with a harumph. Come, Alistair, I don't want my lady to talk to the peasants. Her nose reaching for the ceiling. Whoa, I called out, looking like I'd been struck. I stayed like that for a bit before we gave out a chuckle, breaking character. Alistair just rolled his eyes good-naturedly. Ayla, Sereda, looking fine. We wear this every day. Ayla gave me an unimpressed look. I threw back a smolder. I know. That got me a blush as she walked into the kitchen, followed by Sereda giving me a small smirk with the rolling of her eyes. Nat and Jack took that time to walk into the room. Jack was wearing something similar to Julie, while Nat wore her warden armor, Griffin's shining. That's a nice tie. She walked over, playing with my tie with Julie. Can you tell me what's so amazing about that tie? Nat asked, annoyed by the byplay, clearly missing the importance. This is the J family crest. Julie stated. By wearing this, he's telling the world that he is part of the J familia. And, usually, people only wear another's family crest if they're part of the family in some way. Honora specified, looking the crest over. Most commonly through marriage. Yar finally asked Jack to marry Yar. Nat looked surprised, not knowing the surface tradition. I would have given you more time in the bathroom if I knew. She muttered, looking sheepish. No, Jackie hissed. Nick is a friend to the family, so wearing the crest for a formal meeting like this is allowed. She tucked my tie gently into place. He's doing this to tease us. I knew you were brave, Walters, but to tease a princess of the Underland. I live on the edge. She pats my face before walking towards the control room, her tail whipping out, slapping my buns on the way. Sky came over, putting a gold chain around my neck, and followed Jack. When did you get so cocky? Julie asked, brushing my right eyebrow. You love it. I never said otherwise. She followed her sister. Yeah, have a weird relationship. Okran called out, wearing his normal armor if a bit cleaned up. His beard was extra thick and shiny. Very romantic though, filled with drama. Zevran smiled. He was wearing a rather loose shirt showing off his chest with long baggy sleeves, tight pants, and pointy leather shoes. Can we leave now? I turned to a blushing Morrigan wearing a dress. Who are you and what have you done to my sister? Shut up, she hissed. You sound like her, but it looks like she time traveled, stole her future dress, and regretted it. Lily slapped my shoulder. Shut up, she's beautiful. She grabbed Maury's hand and jumped up and down like a giddy schoolgirl sharing gossip. So, did he like it? Was he shocked? Is he frozen in awe? Morrigan threw me a desperate look as she was dragged to the kitchen. I just smirked, didn't want her to think I wasn't her brother. Nick, do I have to wear this? Dagna asked. She was wearing a strapless black dress that hugged her curves and brought out her cleavage, with a cut that reached her hips. Her hair was loose, allowing it to flow, and a golden brooch kept her bangs out of her eyes. It had a dragon silhouette on it with a single red gem as its right eye. Nat just gave me a look. You're incorrigible. You say that, but you're taking a good look. Yeah, it's for mobility, I teased. Mobility. I could feel the disbelief in her voice. Well, that was what the runes were for. She squinted her eyes at me before looking over Dagna's dress, her eyes landing on Dagna's cleavage. I didn't see any runes. Black on black, sweetheart. Lily would kill me if I made you stand out in an inelegant way. And the heels. She gestured to the 1-inch pumps. If I have to wear some, so did she. I gestured to my shiny dress shoes. It's winter. The runes made it moot, but I didn't say that. I only crafted a black drake leather jacket top and added the necessary runes to make sure she was comfortable. Dagna rolled her eyes and huffed at us. Why am I even going? I'm a dwarf wizard. Wrong, you are Dagna, the future greatest wizard that ever lived. Apprentice to one Nicholas Walters. You are she who makes the earth tremble, she who controls the fabric of the universe. I began massaging her shoulders. She who fears no fool. She gained a glossy-eyed look, probably imagining her future self. She, who needs to go out more. She blinked. Wah, the illusion broke. The only time you go out is when I have to drag you out. I said plainly. I have things to do. Magic to study, patience to see, and it's all true. Dagna's been helping Lina with the new robo-limbs, helping people put him on and functional. True, and I feel like I put a lot on your plate. Think of this as a break, make contacts, show off. I mean, we're probably going to see Kalen regain his throne in what I can only imagine being a crazy dramatic fashion, and what? Are you going to write it second-hand in the book you're making? I guess not, and I wanna show off. She gave me an unamused look. What? I have a kick-ass apprentice. I wanna gloat a bit. I gave her a light squeeze, causing her to yelp and slap my hands. Watch those hands, she warned, a blush spreading across her face. I don't want to wear this. Astral complained, walking into the room. She was wearing a cute bright red sleeveless sundress that went down to her thighs. She had a pair of golden horn rings, and fussing over her dress. I moved away from Dagna and helped tie a gold-colored cloth around her waist, keeping it from blowing everywhere. There, my tail, there's a hole. She popped her tail out. She just huffed. I knew that. Do you want me to put your hair into a princess braid? Years of doing it for my sisters and nieces made me a deft hand at it, and my dex stat made it even fast and prone to less hair pulling. She gave me a nod and I began quickly putting her hair in order. In the time I got Astral's hair ready, I greeted Theron, Aiden, and Duncan, all in their grey warden armor. Sten in his normal armor with the symbol of the Kunari, and Shale not wearing anything but her metal body. I greeted the twins, but they weren't going to the Lands meet. While they might be part of our group, they weren't part of our misadventures until Denerim. Neria came out wearing robes, not of Southern mages but similar make to Jack and Julie's. She even had their family crest. She gave me a confused look. I pointed to the crest. Oh, Julie told me to wear it as a form of political protection. I don't think that's why she did it, but okay. You look beautiful, baby, I know it. She flipped her hair in an overdramatic fashion. We stood in the quiet before we broke into a good laugh. I see you're having fun. A smiling Win came up the stairs in her fanciest enchanter's armor. Of course, we're about to walk into the belly of the beast. She gave me an incredulous look. Politics, I hissed. Best have some fun before the end. Win rolled her eyes. So dramatic, you've seen worse things. Yeah, but I get to blast those things with fire and glowing magic swords. I doubt Honora's going to be cool with that. I won't, Honora called out from the control room. I gave Win an "I told you so" look, who just rolled her eyes at my antics. All right, that's everyone, I called out, walking into the control room, finding Jack explaining the holographic globe map to Honora, who was captivated. My voice broke her from the map, refocusing on the matter at hand. Of course, I'm guessing we're walking through the largest street to show the people we're here. I gave her a confused look. Haven't you heard about the new sensation sweeping the nation? Mother Base's engine came to life with a soft hum. Walking's for chumps. //. I made and deleted this chapter more times than I would like to admit. I played with the idea for making Serida's POV all Shakespearean speech, but that was too much. I finally came to the conclusion that I can't please everyone, and moved on with my life. Still on the getting to know everyone arc, saga, chapters, whatever ya wanna call it, and wanting to move the plot along. I have been reading your reviews, but I'm probably not going to go back and change everything. Probably some grammar stuff, but not the whole fanfic. For those who ask why there are so many POV changes, it's because I want to show what other people are thinking without making Nick seem like he's some kind of mind-reading weirdo. There is only so much someone can pick up from body language. It's a big world, why limited by only looking through one person's eyes? Dragon Age is also a huge world with different cultures and beliefs. What do city elves do from day to day? Dalish, dwarves. The games give us broad strokes, and at times contradict themselves, so I added some real-world problems we had during the same time period. That includes illness, and new inventions that revolutionized our world. As always, I make some art of my characters that I put up on my DeviantArt page, link in my bio.